And we're with Taylor once again from the GDT. And the big story, as always, has been this Ward 2 school consolidation. And we had the recent land transfer of Matos Field.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to watch on Tuesday night, both national and local. But bringing it down to the local level for this segment, so the city council voted to 7-2 to transfer the land that is 11 Webster Street, that includes Matos Field, to the school committee to be a part of the proposed combined elementary school that will combine both East Gloucester and Veterans Elementary School. So this is a big one, a big ticket. They had a public hearing prior to the vote on Tuesday night where they had quite the number of people in favor to kind of give their perspective. It was including former and current teachers, administration, DPW Director Mike Hale, some parents, some just other people in the community were kind of speaking of why they think that this might be the best option for their school, for their community and for their school, talking about how that land over at 11 Webster Street would be the best option, and that while Matos Field is a beloved ballpark, they know that they really need a new school for the East Gloucester, especially because they reference poor air circulation that they've experienced, things malfunctioning, a river literally running through the basement. So all of these things that they highlighted of why they want and think that this is a new school to combine. Now, those in opposition also spoke to kind of the idea of neighborhood schools and how important those are, and how they really wanted to emphasize that they don't want Matos Field to be removed or replaced, as Mike Hale was talking about, putting a multi-field softball somewhere else within the city. They spoke to how they want those neighborhood schools to remain, but they also talked about Matos Field and Joseph Matos and his legacy here in the city. And so kind of pulling together both the past and the present to kind of outline what they think could be a very costly future for the city. The voices of the city council who voted against the land transfer was Jamie O'Hara and John McCarthy. However, the conversation did not end Tuesday night. Now, just hours before they had the city council meeting, Patty Amaral, who's been a consistent voice of the oppositioners of the land transfer of Matos Field and the combined school, had kind of noted that she had sent all the city councilors a notice that she has the intent of taking legal action against the city council for a couple different things. So that was kind of put up there Tuesday night, and then as the night progressed, realized that she was pretty intent on going further. And so she filed an intent to sue the city with the Superior Court in Essex County, claiming that the city of Gloucester is withholding an approval it claims to have received from the state's Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. So Patty had taken out a public records request, a couple, for different things. And from her, what she has stated, and her attorney has stated in their notice, is that they did not receive the information that they had asked for, or that it was withheld from them for particularly different reasons. And so she's saying that she's pretty much she is noting that she has intent of taking legal action based off of public records request denial. So there's a couple different things there. Now, Chip Payson, the city's general counsel, had a moment to be able to respond to her on Tuesday night, and kind of noted that the agreement between the EEA, the approval between the EEA and the city about the land transfer, was verbal over a phone conversation that happened in December. And he lists out a couple other things that the reason, little flaws in what Amaral was speaking to of why she has the intent to take legal action. And there's a whole detail. She has 3 or 4 claims that she has, and her attorney said, even after I called him up yesterday to kind of follow up, and he said there's even more, but this as of right now is what she wants to pursue. But she said there's even more issues with the city that she thinks she has basis to take legal action against. So it's all for, as she says, save Matos Field. And so the conversation continues, and as we lead up into November 3rd election to see, if the community does vote yes or no for the combined elementary schools debt exclusion to raise money or to fund the new school. It's up to the community, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, Maidosfield is the topic of conversation in the city amongst other things, but it seems that that's the one taking the forefront these days. So
but great work as always, Taylor. Keep us posted on this. A huge story that has enveloped Gloucester for the better part of a year now.
All right, have a great weekend, guys. See you next week.
Back with Erica from the Manchester Cricket. How you doing, Erica?
Hello, guys. How are you? Lots going on.
Yeah, great. So we have Essex's town meeting coming up.
Yes, we have this weekend, the town meeting. We touched on it a little bit last week. Essex moved its town meeting from the end of the month up to this weekend because they wanted to have their fall town meeting outside, the way they had it, their annual town meeting in June. And it went really well. And I think everyone was a little surprised because it was very much an experiment. They were the first ones regionally, even though Manchester was the first one to come up with it as a concept. It wasn't novel. It was discussed around, but they were the first ones to officially say that this was going to be what they were going to try to do. But Essex was the first town to actually do it. And so there was a lot of sort of anticipation on whether or not they would be successful, what would go wrong. And it went right. It really did. They had a bigger showing than normal. I mean, they had a healthy showing back in June, and everything went well. So they're doing a repeat for a 17-article warrant on the fall town meeting. And there's some really interesting things. It's going to take place at Essex Elementary School. It's 17 articles. And the two biggies are, there's a citizens article on the warrant brought by Andrea Bradbury, and it has to do with the cell phone tower that is being erected and is controversial around town, although you don't really hear it a lot in meetings. So it's a controversy that you suspect is going on because you see the signs. There are a lot of signs, yard signs all over Essex, where parents and concerned people think that a cell phone tower going up in their backyard is going to adversely affect their health. And then there are people who don't think it's going to adversely affect your health. I mean, we have a big cell phone tower over in the limited commercial district on town that's owned by the town of Manchester. It's been there for a long time, and I think they're going to try to do a similar one in Essex. So it's the battle between people who want cell phone coverage between them and the ones who are looking out for their health, which I haven't read any of the science, so I don't know. I can't speak for it, but that's what's going to happen.
I kept hearing the argument that it would impact the horizon downtown, and it's such a historic, pretty downtown. I'm pretty sure that they had a balloon sort of, propped up, rise there to the height of the cell phone tower. So you know what I'm talking about, to let people realize how tall this would be.
Here's the bottom line, though. As it relates to this coming weekend in town meeting, it's pretty sure that I believe that it's not phrased appropriately to do anything. So I think, and we'll tune in next week, but I have a feeling it's sort of a DOA situation. And it's not because it's not a compelling issue, I guess, or something worthy of discussion, but it's literally because I think practically the town can't do anything with it. But we'll see on Saturday. The other thing that they're bringing up is cannabis, and they're going to kind of nail down the usage of, now that Essex is a recreational cannabis town. So we have the facility going in over near the Cranes Beach. I'm going to call it the Cranes Beach turn, but over on that end of town. And what they're doing is they're going to give 0 licenses. So they're going to give 0 licenses for consumption on premises for any cannabis facility. And remember, what they passed in the last town meeting was that there would only be 1 license. So really, we're talking about the one place you won't be able to consume anything like on premises.
Right. So you have to pull over on the side of the road and pop your chocolate, Heather.
As I do.
Yeah. Thanks for checking in with us, Erica, as each week. And the weather looks great for that town meeting, so we hope there's a great turnout.
Cross your fingers.
All right, back once again with John Penaloza. He's the admin for Rockport Stuff. What do you have for us? I think we're talking debate reaction.
Oh man, that's all anybody's talking about. Like seriously, a lot of the other topics have kind of melted into the background right now, as far as Rockport Stuff is concerned. But it's really insane how many people were aghast. I think I was too, right? So a lot of people are trying to ridicule it or saying, "Oh my God, what a, S show, what a everything else is going on." When
Corey
CNN
watched the whole thing.
Did you?
In the aftermath. Oh yeah. I still haven't slept.
I watched the whole thing. I also couldn't believe how many people said, "Okay, I watched 5 minutes, I watched 10 minutes, I watched 15 minutes, and I couldn't take anymore."
17 seconds.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Then I was out of there.
And then, right, so like I switched to CNN right after it was over, and it was the wildest thing I could see was what's her name on CNN saying that the SS, right, on live TV, and she's like, "Well, this is cable, and it's time." And I was like, "Holy cow!" Right? So it's everybody's reaction. It's funny how in Rockport Stuff, again, it's breaking down. So you're seeing a core support for the current president who are like, "Oh yeah, he was forceful and he wasn't taking it from anybody, and he made Biden look meek or whatever." Some kind of spin, and everybody else just couldn't believe what had just happened, and couldn't believe like the new low that we were getting to, and that there's an American president actually telling a neo-Nazi group to stand by, right? It's like an incredible sign of our times, like that we're living through this is kind of incredible, right? Maybe it harks back to the Civil War and some of the stuff that Lincoln dealt with, all of those racially motivated things that are also essentially economic issues, right? So it's another turning point that we're coming to in just a few weeks here, and it's worth to stand back and take a look at the moment.
How did Chris Wallace fare?
I think he fared great, except with people who were Trump supporters. I mean, they said that he was in the bag, that why isn't Chris Wallace asking any hard questions of Biden, and then people bring up Burisma and like Hunter Biden and all of these different things that have basically been misproven as myths, but they're also the talking points of the current administration. So what do you do when something is factually wrong, when it's a fabrication, and it's also in the main subjects discussed every day by the leader of the United States, right? It's an incredibly difficult dynamic. But
it just blew my mind that the monitor didn't have the ability to turn off microphones. I mean, that was the whole point, was to moderate.
They will now.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to do something now. Or like maybe you have to have them in separate studios, the candidates.
I was thinking that you got to put them like in a little booth, like when they're doing.
Yeah, like the old quiz shows from the 50s,
Yeah, exactly. and then if they do something, they can slime them or something.
Yeah, right.
But it is really interesting because I have not wanted to talk to anyone about it. But the fact that Rockport Stuff stands as still the public arena to work things out, right?
I have to admit, I was the first one to post a comment voicing my dismay about it. That was within 5 minutes of the actual topic going up that somebody else put up. And then the post just took off. Like, I think it was one of the fastest growing posts I've seen. And that's just a reflection of where everybody is, like what everybody's feeling,
Well, I imagine we have a month more coming up of the S show.
Oh, yeah, of the S show, exactly. We'll call it the S show for now.
We'll call it the Stuff Show for now.
Stuff Show. Well, so the funny thing is that this is great. You're gonna love this. The sarcasm, the irony of the person who started the post. All she said was the debate was almost as bad as a Rockport Stuff post. Laughing face, right?
As she's posting to Rockport Stuff. I like it.
She's posting in Rockport Stuff, right? So, I do have like, should I have deleted it? No, I have my, humor about it, and it took off. So
I think someday some French philosopher will be trying to take all this apart on Rockport Stuff, okay? Because it's getting pretty layered.
Yes, but someday I hope it's buried deep in the bowels of like Facebook's archives, you know.
Yeah.
But while it's happening, it's interesting, right?
Well, thanks for the update, Bud. We will check with you next week.
All right, cool, you guys. Have a
Thank
good one.
you.